In the 18 years since 9/11, we've learned a lot about the characters involved. About people like George Bush, Osama bin Laden, and many of the other characters that played a major role in what happened. It's more about the people that died on that day, the people that have died since from exposure to toxic dust that the EPA said was fine to breathe in. So we want to keep these people in mind. But even on top of that, and as bad as that event was, I don't think George Bush was the worst president we've had. I think Woodrow Wilson, to me, is the person that signed that Federal Reserve Act that will forever screw the people of America, even more so than 9/11 did. And let's be real, that is just a compounding factor of what he did. Okay? December of 1913, Woodrow Wilson signed that act under pressure from the elitist bankers and people who wanted to control America's money. They blew JFK's head off when he said he wanted to put it back how it used to be, where the money had some value and was backed by silver or even gold. That act, that single act that he put in place and signed, is the worst thing to happen to anybody in this country. It has turned what you hold in your pocket as money, it has turned this effectively into coarse grain toilet paper. That's basically what this is. Okay, when you really get down to it, there's so many people that have done research on it, and you can look it up for yourself. And the reason I can talk on these things is because I did just that. You have to research, you have to find out what other people are saying, not just mainstream media. Okay, there's guys like James Corbett, who has the Corbett Report on YouTube. You could check this guy out. He's legit. White guy, Canadian, lives in Japan. In-depth research on the people who profited big time from 9/11. Even the Oklahoma City bombing with Timothy McVeigh. You know, you have to follow the crumbs, but don't believe when these crumbs lead in a place where you get a story and it's all neatly tied in a bow. Things like that are never neat. They're never exactly what meets the eye. There's always a reason behind these things when they happen. And it's up to you, the affected person or the person watching, to say, do I believe this? Do I believe the narrative? And then if you go against the narrative and then you get pushback when you find your evidence and you present it, then you know, okay, yeah, I think I hit something here. I have something. You see, you can't just believe whatever you see on TV. That's why television shows are called programs. They're meant to program you. Even things like sneakerhead culture. You know, gone are the days where you could put something on and, you know, grab a pair of shoes and just throw them on and be out the house. But now you have this culture where you look in your room, you probably have 50, 60, 70, 80 boxes. You pull out something to wear, you don't know what to put on your feet. I know it, it's true. Okay, you have people walking around in the streets with their phones in their hands, walking across the street, not even paying attention to traffic. I drive, I know. And it's not just a few people, it's so many. You know, you have a collective dumbing down of society where you go to school, you leave college, You don't know how to file your own taxes. Unless you took an accounting class, you don't know the difference between liabilities and assets. You don't know how to balance a checkbook. Okay? You don't know anything about raising your kids, about being able to teach them yourself, early childhood education. The things that really matter in your life as a person, man or woman, you don't know. Unless you actually took those courses, then yeah. But I will be honest with you, there are people that took early childhood education and courses like that where, psychology, etc. They still don't know how to deal with their own kids. So it's more to it. There's way more to it than just going to school, getting an education, and saying you have that piece of paper. That piece of paper really doesn't do you any good, but puts you in a position in a corporation as another drone to get paid. And let's be honest, if what you're getting paid is coarse grain toilet paper, then you better be investing it and buying up assets as much as you can. And like I said, that Federal Reserve Act is what really killed this country. It really did. And I wholly believe that this is why JFK was killed. Of course, he made the statement about secret societies and wanting nothing to do with them and having places like the FBI, CIA, these things quashed because he felt that they were operating outside of their authority and doing things as they saw fit, as opposed to doing what was necessary for the country. And that's why he was terminated with extreme prejudice. I mean, come on. It's all over the place. If you want to search for it, about there being a body swap, about the man on the grassy knoll, there's probably a guy in the culvert under the ground that took the shot that blew his head off. Okay, but they want you to believe that he was shot from the back, bullet ricocheted inside his head, came back out. Magic bullets and stuff. When will you wake up? Everything that's presented to you is not the truth. That's just facts. It's not. And if you took time to research it for yourself and say, listen, there must be something more to this. I mean, if it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter. Then, whatever. Continue living your life with your blinders on. But if you don't want to have the blinders on, like, how they put the blinders on the horses so they can only go, one way. You take the blinders off and you use your peripheral vision. You know what I mean? There's so many things out here. You have a guy that just did an interview that's been circling the net lately, talking about how they were inoculating people in Africa, supposedly, but they're actually injecting them with the AIDS virus. I mean, crazy stuff. And am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised. I'm not in the least. Not when you hear about people like Margaret Sanger talking about eradicating lesser peoples through Planned Parenthood. Not when you hear about big boy Bill Gates putting his money allegedly to help, but then you're funding Planned Parenthood to give people abortions. A lot of times things are not what they seem, but it's up to you to find out for yourself. The information is out there for sure. It's out there. If I can find it, anybody can find it. But you have to be willing to get out of that safe zone where you think everything is what's being said to you, and there's no reason to fear the government and what they say about taking people's AR-15s away and such. Yeah, that's to make you safe. You can't believe it. We have more people in this country, in America, dying from diabetes than dying from gunshot wounds or from mass killings. Just let that sink in for a minute. Diabetes kills more people than guns. Every year. Every year without fail. And I'm not talking about cancer and heart disease, which is, the numbers are like 10 times the number of people that die from gun violence. I think gun violence is about, I don't have the figures in front of me, I think it's about 52,000. Diabetes is, I believe, 58. But then when you talk about cancer and the others, we're talking about in the like 400, 500, 600,000 range. But they'll have you believe that people getting shot by AR-15s and such is the plague of our day. No, it's not. It's really not. 4.2 or 4.5 million get in car crashes every year. About 40 to 50,000 of those die. That's just America. Look it up. The information is there. It's available. You could go to OSHA. Okay? So don't believe everything that's hyped up in front of you and placed in front of you for you to just eat it up and say, oh man, we gotta stop gun violence. We gotta take them guns away, because no, that's a trick. Ever since 9/11, they've been slowly eroding away at people's rights and their liberties. And that's all part of the plan. But like I said, that is a plan of people who are operating in the background. You don't see them. You don't know about them. All you see is who's in front of you. You see Trump, you see Hillary, you see these senators, making laws, doing this, that, and the third. These guys are just puppets on a string. That's what it really comes down to. And if you want the truth, you gotta find it for yourself.